absolutely all of the time. I'm really excited to get started. Um, I am, if it's okay, um, I need to make somebody else. Christy, are you going to be on the whole time? Can I make you an admin to help just kind of admit people so I'm not going back and forth? Um, make co-host. There we go. I may need some help admitting people as we get going. Oh, okay, Melanie okay, awesome. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm a social worker by trade, that's what I was saying. And I fell in love with acceptance and commitment therapy. And this is the acceptance part of the hexaflex, is what they call it. And so anytime I can get therapy type, positive psychology type language into any amount of people as I possibly can, I'm happy about it, right? And what I love about Mel Robbins is that she is just um, so good at storytelling and making it tangible and giving you real life examples that just like, wow. I mean, you can't ignore it. And like my example of this was Christy was like, "Hey, have you heard of this book? I think you would love it. We should gather together and do this book." And I had heard about it through her, and then shortly thereafter, a reel popped up, and it was her on her podcast explaining the start of chapter 2 when she's talking about her friends that didn't invite her to the getaway, and literally a week before that, something just like that happened to me, and I am like, I feel like she's reading my own story back to me, like all the thoughts I had in my head. And all, I mean, I was just like mulling it over, and what she was saying of like how everything was perfect and then like crash and burn, immediately taken down at the knees by all the thoughts that she was being berated with. I'm like, I just, that so resonated with me. I'm like, this book, I got to get it in the hands of every single person. Like we just got to talk about it. So it's so good. I'm really excited about it. I do want to respect your time because I know at 8 p.m. we've got these wonderful opportunity calls that we don't want to miss ourselves, and we certainly don't want to miss the people that we invited seeing us get on those calls, because this is how we're going to all row together. Assuming that you guys are all in Plexus at this point. If you're not, then ask me. Okay, Mom, your phone's in here, Mom. My mom's phone is ringing. She's trying to find where her phone is, and she's dinging it from her watch. And I'm like, it's in here. We're gonna let that ding in the background, and I am going to let me just stay focused and not get distracted on my call. Okay, so chapter 1. I mean, he starts right off with stop wasting your life on things you can't control. And I think something I really want to talk to you guys about is what control is costing you. And she gave a lot of really great examples in there. But one thing I would love for you guys to do, pull out a pen and paper. In just a minute, I'm going to have you draw 3 lines, or 2 lines, 3 columns. One is relief from, the other one is strategy, and the third one is your interest rate. And I'm going to explain that in just a second. But I would love for you guys to brainstorm with me on the ways that control is costing us. So chapter 1, stop wasting your life on things you can't control. How many times have we let like somebody's actions derail us and keep us from doing what matters to us? For me, it's often. And I would love to hear from some of you guys. I have some questions that I had ChatGPT write up for me. I'm not brilliant enough to come up with these all on my own, but we're going to take all of the help that we can get, right? So can you think of a recent situation where you felt frustrated by someone else's actions? How would applying let them have changed your response? Or, and in what areas of your life do you struggle most with letting go of control? Anybody want to be brave and give some examples that popped into your head? Can you think of where let them could have changed your response to a frustrating situation? Or what areas of life do you struggle the most with letting go of control?
I'll go. Unless, is the background music where I'm at too loud, or can you hear me?
I can't hear it.
Yeah. Okay. So something that I have struggled with in the past that I'm trying to get better at, and this book helped a lot, is letting go of how I think certain family members should respond to my youngest son having autism.
Mm,
I think that they should behave, act, change because I think that they should. And I have had to let them love him in whatever way that looks like and let me nurture him and do whatever I need to do for him on the flip side.
mhm,
Um, because trying to control what other humans do, say, think, and instead of like, I think they should learn about it. I think they should read the things I send them. I think they should
mhm.
I think that they should behave in a certain way, and um, grandparents are not always great at doing those things. And so I read this book when we were on a cruise, 17 of us, and I swear I told Sunny, I think that if I wasn't reading this book on the cruise, I don't know if all of us would have liked each other. Well, no, let me say, I would not have liked all of the humans that were with us if I wasn't reading this and literally saying to myself multiple times a day, let's just let them do that or wear that or behave. So that was my personal
Yeah,
growth experience, real life.
that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, so um, if there's somebody else, raise your hand real quick. If not, I'm going to go ahead and go into the what is control costing you. Okay, so in our little chart, right, we are putting relief from. What are we trying to get relief from? So is it anxiety? Is it grief? Is it worry, fear, guilt, stress, disappointment, fatigue, just frustration? Like, what are we trying to get relief from? Like, yours may be something different than that, but those are some ideas to kind of get your gears turning, right? And then ask ourselves, and this may be something that you think about later, like, oh my goodness, this is what I've been trying to do to get rid of this feeling that I have, right? So the second row is strategy, or column is strategy. So what strategies are you using to get relief from those things that we wrote down? So um, is it substances? Is it alcohol? Is it aggression? Is it an angry post on social media? Is it food? Are we binging? Are we purging? Right? Are we using food to just keep us from being bored? Are we binging Netflix? Are we scrolling on our phones, doom scrolling? Right? Like, are we sleeping too much? Are we avoiding work? Are we not posting on social media when we know we should, right? What is it? What strategy are we using to get relief from that feeling that we maybe don't like as much? And then what I want you guys to think about is think about those strategies as being like credit cards. Okay, so it's your life credit card. Sure, you could put it on a credit card, but it is going to cost you in interest, like a lot. So, what is it costing you in your life to avoid just feeling those feelings or being with them or letting the people do what they need to do? What is it costing you? So, maybe the interest rate is higher anxiety because what you're trying to do isn't actually helping you. Like, I am trying to avoid the anxiety of posting things that I know that people in my life are going to disagree with, or they might make fun of my business that I run, or they might disagree with how I'm talking about a certain thing, right? So my strategy is to avoid it and to not post because that's going to make me feel better in the short term. But the interest rate is my anxiety is higher because my business isn't doing as well. and I'm not living into what my value is, which is helping people, and then it's further hurting me in my business in the direction that I want to go. So if we think about our strategies as being a credit card with large interest, then we can switch our brain maybe to think about how we can let us make different or take different actions. So some of the other interest rate ideas, just for you guys to think about: higher anxiety, relationships failing. Sure, Christy could have said exactly what was on her mind on the boat, right, to make her anxiety go away, right? But it would have cost her deeply in relationship, right? Sure, you can post whatever you want to on social media, but it's going to probably cost you one way or the other, depending on if you're not posting or posting or whatever. You guys can fill in the blanks. Health issues might be on the rise, divorce, finances, legal issues, worth. Another one that's on that list is scrolling Amazon and making fun purchases, because the dopamine of opening a package that you don't know what's inside is pretty great, right? But then you're dealing with spending too much money because it's a quick hit of joy for something that you may be trying to avoid. Okay, so I took a lot of time on that, but I thought that might be helpful for you guys to think about it being a credit card with interest. So when we're avoiding all of this kind of stuff, it's actually hurting us. When we're trying to control the people in our lives, it's hurting us in the long run. We think it may be helping because it's getting short term, getting rid of or helping us get relief from an emotion. But in the long run, it's actually not helping our relationships to try to control people or manipulate them to do what we would like to do. So is anybody else a fixer? Are you the family fixer? Because I am. I am the family fixer. I am very well aware now, thanks to a lot of therapy, about my own controlling techniques. And so seeing this in this book again was like, woo, the refresher that I needed. Because if I feel like if I'm not the one that shows up and does all the things and controls all the people, then it's just going to fall apart. And it might. But maybe I just need to let it happen, right? So that I'm not the one always being burned out at the end of the day. Okay. I'm kind of bopping around a little bit. I would love to hear what you guys, any takeaways. We don't have enough time to like go through every chapter section by section, but I would love to know from that first chapter if you guys had anything. Does anybody have the let them tattoo yet? Do you have your let them tattoo? I didn't know if you guys know this, but that's a part of being in this group. We all have to get let them tattoos. I'm just kidding. But seriously, okay. Chapter 1, any thoughts, impressions, anything that you wanted to share from earlier?
I'm not gonna lie, I did have an aha, like maybe I do need a tattoo.
Okay.
Especially when I saw like all the pictures of the tattoos
Yeah.
of them. I will say I am a fixer and I like to think that I don't do it, but that I try to control situations, whatever I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I can make it best or better, especially with my family. So I'm going to tell you, I got emotional when I was
Mm.
reading about the prom
Oh,
because that was 100% me, like to the T. And
wow.
like to read it and to like see the reactions and to feel it, I was like, OMG, like
Mm.
Betsy, this is you. So that was a good, like, I guess tease to reel me in. But no, I can 100% relate to like you're saying the fixer and stuff. But
Yeah.
I did. I got super emotional. It was I don't usually get emotional about stuff like that, but I did.
Yeah, man, she's so good at like nailing relatable stories. So I'm curious, um, well, let's ask this question. What's one example from your past where letting go led to a positive outcome? Or like where have you maybe seen this in your business where you've been able to let go of something and it led to some growth or something better in the end? Anybody?
Well, um, there it's funny because there has just been an instance. We have some of Bobby's family, and they have like they kind of it's like the Clampets, like they came into a lot of money really quick and coming from a place where they were coming from struggle. And at first it was like really exciting, but then they just they handled their money differently than we would. They developed kind of an arrogance about them, and from our view, it seems like things are just suddenly like, whoa, like slow down. Like you're making your life crazy. You're buying all these things that require maintenance and life is crazy. Anyways, it was really easy for Bobby and I both to think somewhere in our heads it was our responsibility to like try to point this out and help them
Mm,
because it from the outside looking in felt like they don't realize what they're doing. Um, but then, and I like read the whole bit, just like applying everything I was taking to the situation. And we already know, like, we've kind of already come to that conclusion, but like, they're grown adults. Like, what they choose to do with their money, and we have connections, my niece and my nephew, like, we want them to be good and we don't want it to have a negative impact on them. But ultimately, they're their parents, like they're adults, and there is no point in us feeling stressed, feeling like we have to fix that situation, even though it feels like, oh, they just don't get it because they don't see what's happening. But we have a better view. We just have to let them. We have to let them make those mistakes. And I really like that she points out too the let me, like for certain situations, areas where like, okay, but what can I like? I don't have control of that situation, but I do have control if there's something I wish would go differently. Like maybe there's the self responsibility type aspect of it. I like that she added both of that. It was two parts.
yeah, because I feel like I have definitely felt that air of superiority when I let them, oh well, they're just dumb. Like I've definitely been there. Like I have put myself in that place and it only lasts so long and then you feel gross, right? Like it you need that balancing act of realizing that there's a part that I need to play in this too and I'm not superior here. Um something that oh man, I had another thought. I should never rely on my brain to remember thoughts that I have because then they're like gone. But you said something that made me think of something else. Really. Ah, anyway. Oh, that just because we're letting them, I needed the reminder that just because we're like, oh, let them, that it's over. But it's so not because we have to keep saying, let them over and over and over again. And that doesn't mean the pain isn't going to be there, right? That doesn't mean we're going to suddenly feel good about it because that's not always the case. And there's something that one of my ACT professors said, and he said, there is a PhD in wisdom on the other side of the pain that you're avoiding. And I was like, dang, you're so right. Like there is actual pain. Um, there's actual pain in letting go of control and having to just watch a train wreck happen. Sometimes it is like watching a train wreck. Sometimes, like people on our teams, it is watching them fail and letting them. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But when let me offer everything that I can and then let them choose what they want to do. I know we're like sometimes like trying to lead a horse to water over and over and over again, but that doesn't necessarily work for us, right? We have to let them run their business how they want to. We have to let them fail. We have to let them succeed. And, you know, part of ACT is not holding tightly to the success or the failure. Like we can't blame ourselves for every failure our teammates have, and we also can't take accountability and ownership for when they're successful either. And that's painful because we want to, right? Like if you lead someone to success, you want to be like, I did that. But that's really not always the case, is it? Like we have to hold it loosely. Um, anyway, so chapter 2, the letting our values guide us. The source of your power is not in managing other people, it's in your response. When you say let me, you're tapping into that power by taking responsibility for what you do, think, or say next. Let me makes you realize that you are in control of what happens next, and that life is more fun and fulfilling when you're not sitting alone in your superiority. Our values are what guide us in our decisions and what we are going to do. I think some of the biggest resistance people have to um, let it be, let them, right, is that you're giving up. This like feeling of like, oh, so I'm just supposed to just give up on, my family not understanding my son, or I should just give up on this thing that's really important to me. And the answer is no, no, you're not. You have a choice of what you do. Okay, tell me, what are your thoughts? What's coming to your brain? Anybody? Anything from chapter 2 before we move on? I feel like this time is going so fast for me. I don't know about you guys, but
The let them for me in business is really hard, especially when you can see how much of a blessing this would be in their life, like how badly this could ease a pain or a stress. And I struggle sometimes with like stepping back and being like, okay, like this is not a priority for them. I can't make it a priority. But it's hard knowing like what a blessing it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. So something that I took away from chapter 3 is that the chapter was shocker, life is stressful. Like, but it definitely is, right? And a key thing for me is that if I'm in this state of stress, the light bulb kind of was like, if you're in that state of stress and you're living from your amygdala and you're not using your full brain, right? You are living for survival. And do you know what your brain will not allow you to do when you're in survival mode? Be successful. Do anything different, right? And if we want something different, we have to do something different. But when you're in survival mode, your body will not, it will be like a constant big red stop sign your brain is going to give you if you're in stress brain, right? So acknowledging that is where we are is a big light bulb moment. I think of people too who've been in this business a long time. I had someone quit. I had to let her quit, and it hurt me. But she kept saying, I just feel all this stress to do all this stuff. And I was realizing like she had not worked the business in a very long time, but she was working overtime in her brain, not working. Like she was stressed out because she wasn't taking action. So of course she was burnout, right? She was in constant stress mode in her business. And so I loved when she was talking about ways to be able to get out of stress brain, acknowledging when you're in it and being able to get out of it is stimulating that vagus nerve so that we can get ourselves into thinking brain and out of stress brain. Okay, so some ways to, these aren't necessarily in the book, but Dr. Aditi gave some examples of ways to get out of it, but I wanted to add a couple. My pages are stuck together. Children. So like a massage, like when you're stressed out, like quickly massaging your hand or massaging the back of your neck, humming, laughter, cold exposure. So sometimes like a lot of these are similar to getting out of anxiety brain, like putting a piece of ice in your hand and letting it feel cold in your hand for a little bit. Singing, yoga, just connecting with other people, music, exercise in general. Another one is just, she mentioned in the book, just taking a deep breath, like a breath, not like an exasperated bleh, but like feeling the air. It's my alarm to remind myself that I don't have forever on this call. Taking a deep breath and feeling your stomach rise. Often we're just breathing to survive. Most of the days we're just breathing to survive. It's not deep breath. So doing actual breath work, box breathing is, I think, one of the most helpful ways for me to get out of my brain and into life. I also love when breathing just feels like, stop telling me to take a deep breath. I'm like mad right now, right? Like don't stop telling me to breathe. When that one doesn't work for me, I do like to just look around the room or look outside I use this when I've got road rage, because that one gets me. letting them drive in that left lane going too slow is really hard for me. I'm not gonna lie. So one of the things that I use when I'm in the car is I'll just start counting. Like I'll intentionally start counting how many seconds am I actually waiting right now. It's not that long, but in my brain I'm like, we've been here for 3 hours. Like, so getting out of stress brain, counting, literally just counting. And then I also like to look for a certain color. So I'll just, when I'm in stress mode, I'll be like, okay, I want to pick out all of the things that I see that are green, or all of the things that I see that are red or blue or whatever. I'll pay attention specifically to all the white cars on the road. And that helps get me out of stress brain and back into life. So we are often exhausted all the time because we are stuck in fight, flight, or freeze mode. And I think some of that has to do with what we're engaging in and what we're engaging with, and the not letting them, and the forgetting that we have agency, like we have purpose and we have something that we can do. And sometimes when we go do the things, we are able to get out of our head a little bit about it. So then chapter 4 is just let them, like I loved that she talked about, the dog park example, where sometimes some days you're going to have more to give and some days you're not. And that's okay. The answer is not always the same all the time. And that's on individual people. Like I may have more to give on one day and be willing to have that tough conversation with someone that I've been avoiding, because I do think they need to hear from somebody who has a different perspective. Or Christy may want to take the day to educate them on the realities of having a son with autism, right? She may want to spell that out for them. Hey, did you see that article I sent you? That's really important to me. It would mean a lot if you would read it, right? Some days we have room to do more things like that, and some days we don't, and that's okay. I really appreciated hearing that, because I live in stress brain thinking, well, I should be doing something more, or I should be saying something when something is hard for me. But not every day is for that, and that's okay. She said, it may be okay just to let things be frustrating. Like we are in highly polarized political place right now in our country. Like, holy moly. It is way high for me, like very high, like on my mind 90% of the day. And I really, really don't like that. And so me having to just realize I have like what I don't have control over, and then realizing what I do, and impacting ways and helping people the way that I can. This is a good reminder for me that she said, I never said just because, so that feeling feels like I'm just supposed to give up and just let all this stuff happen. The answer is yes, because we can't control it. But she said, I never said you couldn't change the future. Does it seem overwhelming? Yes. Does it feel like it won't make a difference? Yes, but do it anyway. If it's a core value of yours, do it anyway. And I loved too that she was talking about, is this something that's going to bother me just right now? Is it going to bother me in an hour? Is it going to bother me in a week, a month, a year? She's like, if it's going to bother you in a month or a year, absolutely do something about that. That's a huge clue that that is a strongly held value of yours. You get to choose. That's the beautiful part, is that we get to choose what we do. Okay, so chapter 5, we're not there yet, and I'm glad, because I'm not ready to let them think bad thoughts about you. I don't know. I just don't know. I may bail. You guys may not see me after this call because I don't know if I can handle it. Just kidding. I'll show up. I'm just kidding. But seriously, that one's going to be really hard for me. It's 8:00. I want you guys to be able to go. If you have people that are getting on that opportunity call, I want you to get on it. If we want to take the last few minutes to chat, I would really love to hear from you guys. I feel like I just talked the whole time, but it's such a short amount of time. Does anybody have anything they want to add? I know you guys have so much wisdom to offer. I'm sad that I talked the whole time. Anybody? Thank you guys for being on.
So, Sunny, don't be sad, because you have lots of really good things to say.
Oh, good.
So don't be sad about it. And sometimes it's nice to hear somebody else's summary of, what they took away and what you heard and such, because I think you hear and capture things that are a little different than maybe what I heard.
And I
or
wish I could
captured
hear
for
what you
myself.
heard.
Well, we just don't have, we just, like you said, it's just a
Yeah.
really short time.
Yeah.
But I will share there's multiple things that I've been using this on. But one really interesting one is, well, I can't say because your children are little, but when your children grow up and they become adults
Oh.
and they no longer do what you would like them to do, and they make decisions that are really so not good for them.
Yeah.
And over again you try to advise and they keep making terrible mistakes, or just like, and it's so easy as a parent to get frustrated because your heart just breaks for them. You see them make these decisions that are just, they're just suffering for the decisions that they make. And
Yeah.
and it's a constant reminder to because it just causes this like emotional anxiety within you as a parent to watch these things. And so it's and then also the trying just to keep your mouth shut. Like, just don't say it. Just that's a let them. Like, it's not my business. That one's not my business. So that's a whole nother world that has been fresh in the perspective I'm taking with this.
Yeah.
So
makes sense. What's tough. Yeah. As a social worker, you kind of just have to mourn. There's been a lot of people that I've had to mourn. Like, it is a grieving, I feel like, to admit that you can't help people if they don't want to be helped. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
And you probably could, Angie. You probably could have told him exactly what to do and exactly what you thought and burned a bridge, But like,
right.
that's not helpful, right? Like, that's not not worth it. It's not.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for sharing. Anybody else? I'm excited I was joking about chapter 5, but I am excited that they're great chapters. They're helpful. Really, really good for me as a recovering people pleaser. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Unless somebody else wants to speak up, have any thoughts?
Thank you, Sunny.
Thanks, Angie. Appreciate you guys. I love learning. Learning with people. That community part, the connecting with others thing is very good for my brain and my mental well-being. Okay, see you guys next time.